Welcome to the first of these devotions on the Psalms. I called it A Light for Our Path, which is taken from Psalm 119, and we're going to get there in a couple weeks. But that idea that the Psalms provide light for us right now, especially right now, and they provide clarity where we otherwise couldn't see. So, the goal of this devotion is that you would spend time, usually on your own. That is, I won't be doing a video for each of the Psalms, but you would spend time looking at the Psalm, meditating on it, reading it, and then using it as a devotion from which you also pray. So you would use the content of the Psalm that you read for a prayer to follow. And each of the Psalms speaks in such a way that it really makes for a great um, boost to your prayer life. Psalm number one is something that I'll touch on right now as an introduction, not just to the devotion series, but really to the whole book of Psalms. Number one is a psalm about the Word of God, and it is a psalm that sets our hearts in the right place as we go into this book and we ask God to bless our study of it. So I'll read Psalm 1, then I'll offer a couple of thoughts. This is from the NIV, and if you have your own version, you're welcome to follow along in that as well. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers. Not so the wicked. They are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish. You know, it's significant that the psalm begins with the word blessed. And if you thought of another place in the Bible where that word is used in a way that stands out, you probably were thinking of the Beatitudes. And it's the same idea. It's a different word. This is Hebrew, and the book of Matthew is in Greek, but really it's the same word that one is happy or blessed. When? Well, the psalm goes on to lay out when or what makes a person blessed. Really, it begins by saying, blessed is the one who does not do these three things: walk in the counsel of the wicked, stand in the way of sinners, sit in the seat of mockers, which seems to be a progression of sin. That first one would walk in the counsel of the wicked. One would walk and spend time with those who do evil and listen to it, and in doing so, um, begin to absorb it. And then the next, stand in the way of sinners, to be with them. And then finally, to sit in the seat of mockers would be to be at a point where you not only join in the sin, but you are now mocking those who don't. So a progression of sin, that sin is never content just to sit in a corner, but always will take over a person's life if one lets it. But remember, we're talking about the man who's blessed, and the man who's blessed does not do these things. In fact, um, the opposite he does. His delight is in the law of the Lord, and on it he meditates day and night, which is to say, every moment. There is not a moment where he is not, or he would not meditate on the law of the Lord. It's his love, it's his focus. He's described like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season. And first of all, to think that the tree is planted, that God has planted that seed of His word, and therefore it produces fruit. You probably think of Jesus' words about the vine and the branches. When I lived in California, I know that um, it was a climate that was more like the climate of Palestine, so it doesn't rain all summer, which means that trees, obviously, if they're surviving in that kind of environment, need some source of water, and some trees have the ability to go way down deep. But more often than not, if you were driving and you saw a row of trees in Central California, you knew that there was water. Out in a field, you wouldn't find trees unless, of course, they're irrigating. But if this was a naturally occurring tree, um, no, water meant life, and as this psalm points out, the one who is drinking deeply from the Word of God will also produce in that life the fruit of that Word. And a leaf does not wither. Of course, that's to say that faith is organic. That is, it's growing or it's withering. And one who's in the Word has this promise from God that the faith will not wither, and that whatever he does prospers. Of course, that doesn't mean that everything, every endeavor a believer might make would turn out to prosper in a worldly sense, but in the spiritual sense, yes. Not so the wicked, they're like chaff. They are here today and gone tomorrow, and what they do is so temporary, it blows away. In the end, verse 6 wraps up this psalm. The Lord watches over the way of the righteous. This is the promise that we have. And as we go through the Psalms, as you spend time in the Psalms, just remember that this is good, and God will bless your time, and He'll bless our time together, the devotions that we put online. A prayer from this psalm, I think you could see how this would easily become a prayer that that you would drink deeply from the Word of God, and that you would in turn then be like that tree that has nothing, um, nothing that would make it dry up or become fruitless in its time. The plan with these videos will be that I'll be posting a video on. They'll be posted on Sundays. I'll probably post some this week as well, and I'll let you know. And the videos will pick out two of the psalms from that week. So there's 5 psalms for the whole week, and 2 of them I'll highlight in some way. And I'm hoping to do something a little different with the devotions or with the videos. We'll see if it comes together. And so stay tuned for that. God bless you in your time with the psalms, and reach out if you have any thoughts or reactions to these videos. Lord willing, I'll get to see you again soon. God bless.